Jaya Gaura Hare.
Welcome to another episode of TwoMuchWise.
This is the Gita Expedition series where we explore the timeless wisdom of the Bhagavad Gita, verse by verse and chapter by chapter.
All that we discuss here is what we've heard from perfected teachers and spiritualists from the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition. None of this is our own analysis.
If you're here for the first time, then we recommend that you watch the warm-up series of the Bhagavad Gita where we introduce some concepts of the Gita for the first time.
This episode is better heard than watched. You can hear it while taking a walk, while driving, cooking, or even walking out.
We've had a lot of fun recording this, and we hope that it's an enriching experience for all of you as well. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, welcome to TwoMuchWise.
Hare Krishna.
Chapter 1, text 44 to 46. We are going to complete chapter 1 today. I'll read text 44 in English and then I'll read text 44 in Sanskrit and then 44 to 46 in English. Aho batamahat papam kartum yavasita vayam yadraja sukhalobhena hantum swajanamudyata. Translations. Alas, how strange it is that we are preparing to commit greatly sinful acts. Driven by the desire to enjoy royal happiness, we are intent on killing our own kinsmen. This is Arjun talking to Krishna right before the war begins. Better for me if the sons of Dhritarashtra, weapons in hand, were to kill me unarmed and unresisting on the battlefield. Now Sanjaya says, Arjun, having thus spoken on the battlefield, cast aside his bow and arrows and sat down on the chariot, his mind overwhelmed with grief.
Yes, Hare Krishna. Um, Basically, Arjun has a lot of grief on his mind. He's expressing that to his friend. He's so saddened that, in fact, he has suicidal thoughts. He's saying that I rather have me die than go through all of this. Rather, I do my what I'm supposed to do. I don't want to do this. I'm so saddened that I rather die, and that's almost suicidal. So when he has suicidal thoughts, he's showing us suicidal is basically the extreme, but when we are in grief, when we are in deep grief, how to really react is what Arjun is showing us and will be showing us going forward. He just turned to his friend, but not just any friend. He has many other friends, but he has turned to Krishna, who is his well wisher, but not just any well wisher, best well wisher. He knows he's Bhagavan, and he says, "You be my guru." In the second chapter, he says, "You be my guru and tell me definitively." This is a reaction that Arjun has taken. He has stopped in his moment of grief. He hasn't, taken any rash decision. He hasn't lashed out. He's not blaming anyone. He's not. He is thinking of suicide in the sense that, okay, death be better than this, but he's expressing it. He's stopping, he's reflecting, and he is expressing it to his friend and asking for advice. A good kind of reaction, a good reaction to have, especially when you're deeply in grief, because decisions might not be really good in that mind space.
Yeah. Chapter 1 has a lot of expression of grief.
Yeah.
In the last many episodes, we've just been talking about different ways in which Arjun is expressing his grief. We've
Yeah.
been using words like mind is reeling, he's ranting, kuch bhi bol rahe hai.
Yeah.
We've compared it to LinkedIn posts. So that's the condition of his mind right now. So really,
Yeah.
the first chapter is not about family dispute. It's not about the
Yeah.
kingdom. It's not about the land. It's not about the property. It's not about who is right or wrong. It's about grief, and everyone
Yeah.
can connect to grief. It's
Correct.
the common denominator. In fact, the Bhagavad Gita itself tells us, going ahead, Krishna tells that we all have to undergo one of the 7 kinds of griefs, right?
Yeah.
You have to face grief from other living beings, your friends, your families, a family of friends. You have to face
Yeah.
grief from the nature. You have to face grief from your own mind,
Yeah.
own body. You
Correct.
may say, no, no,
Yeah.
no, my family, I share very good relations with my family and friends, no problem. I'm mentally very strong, no problem. And nature, I'm living in a metropolitan, safely guarded from all natural disasters. But then Krishna says, oh, four more things. Your body will give you trouble.
Yeah. Yeah.
No matter how
Yeah.
fit you are, your body will give you trouble. You will have old age. Oh, I may not, I'll not have old age. Then you will die early. That's a matter of grief. Or
Yeah.
you'll have diseases. COVID didn't look at
Yeah.
young or old. Everyone got COVID, right? Or
Yeah.
you'll have to face death. Death is very painful, you know it.
Yeah.
And it's painful physically. It's also painful emotionally, because all your life you've spent with some people, you've tried to achieve something, and suddenly all of that which you had achieved goes away.
Goes
And
away,
then
taken
the
away.
last one is birth. A little difficult to understand why birth, but birth basically leads to all these troubles. So grief is
Yeah.
the common denominator, and Arjun is going through one of those griefs. His mind is causing him
Yeah.
grief. His family is causing him grief right now. So
Yeah.
that's the starting of the Bhagavad Gita. It's actually bringing us all together. That's why it's the universal self-help book. It's the OG original self-help
Yeah.
book, because
Yeah.
it's from the first chapter. It's setting the tone. There is grief. Arjun has it. All of you have it. Now let's talk about it.
It's problem definition, basically.
Yeah.
If the Bhagavad Gita is the manual of life, then this is the blueprint of a problem that Arjun basically is giving. And going forward in the next 17 chapters, Krishna and Arjun will discuss the blueprint of the anatomy of a problem, break it down, and basically talk about the blueprint of a solution.
Hmm.
Hence it is the manual of life.
Yeah.
To manual life, which has a lot of problems, you need solutions. How to get them? That's what Krishna and Arjuna are talking about. As you said, self-help in the real sense.
Yeah. Because the problem is common, then the solution is also common.
Yeah.
And that's the.
I mean, we're not saying that common problem as in we have the same problem as Arjun in specific,
Mm-hmm.
but when Krishna will go on to explain, when he breaks it down to its basics, bare bones, then we'll see that he talks about the root cause of a problem, and for that, that is the commonality, because all of us have problems. That is the commonality, and the root cause of all problems is the same. It comes from the same place. Hence, it is common. Hence, we can relate to Arjun's problem. Not right now, but yeah, in the subsequent chapters, maybe.
Yeah. What's a problem? Let's define a problem
Yeah.
so that there is no misunderstanding. No, we have those
Yeah.
two criteria. You want to explain it, bro?
Yeah. Yeah, which basically the Vedic literature basically defines problem in a little higher sense, in a more absolute sense. When you hear it, don't get disheartened, because it doesn't dismiss of. It's not being dismissive of all of our daily problems. There are problems. We have to deal with them, but in the bigger picture, what are actual problems? The Vedic literature basically tells us that something which is common to all, something which is unavoidable, and something that nobody wants.
Yeah.
These are the three things that qualify a problem to be on an absolute sense, because otherwise there are problems, but those are
Yeah.
relative problems.
Yeah.
It may be a problem for someone, it actually might be a maybe new to some people, don't care about it, and for some people it's actually an
Yeah.
advantage.
Yeah.
It's raining in Honolulu, I don't care what's happening in Honolulu, but people who are on the ground, whose maybe houses are getting affected by it, it's a problem for them. But people who are selling raincoats and umbrellas, oh, it's not a problem for them. In fact, it's an advantage for
Yeah.
them. It's their breadwinner. So it's relative.
Yeah.
But in all of these things, these three criterias apply to these four things that you mentioned, Prabhu: birth, death, old age, and disease. These are the real four problems that fulfill these criteria that I just mentioned,
Yeah.
the three criteria that I just
Yeah.
mentioned.
So the real problem, the absolute problem, is the one that none of us want, but none of us can avoid,
Yeah.
right? And all of us have to go
Yeah.
through it. The
Yeah.
smaller problems are not absolute problems, but they're relative problems. You
Correct.
said rain in Honolulu. It's not a problem for those who are
Yeah.
selling umbrellas. Right? A UPI
Yeah.
fraud, a scam. It's a problem for the victim. Uh,
Yeah.
for the scammers, it's a matter of joy. You got your
Yeah.
money.
For the newspapers, it's daily fodder.
Yeah. For the news people, it's
Yeah.
fodder. Yeah. So, but even relative problems are so tough to deal with, right? Like
Yeah.
imagine yourself in that UPI scam or in that uh, tornado in Honolulu. What will you be going through? It's a relative problem, but it's
Yeah.
very difficult to deal with it. So Arjun is going
Yeah.
through a relative problem in a way, but Krishna is telling him
Yeah.
how to deal with relative problems, and the same
Yeah.
art needs to be applied for the absolute problem. Actually, it's
Yeah.
the other way around. If you deal with the absolute problems, then automatically the
Yeah.
relative problems will
The
get
relative
sorted.
ones get sorted out. Yeah.
So
Or at least you get the approach how to deal with them without being
yeah,
disturbed. um See, he gives a lot of expressions. Krishna will give a lot of expressions. I mean, I'm jumping the gun here, but one of them I really like is that it's hot. It's really hot outside right now, but whoever is cooking in the kitchen is one of the
yeah.
hottest places in the summer,
Ask my
because
mom.
there's a lot of heat there otherwise also. And but do we stop cooking in the summer? No. People who cooking, they continue cooking, they bear the heat, they try and mitigate. They put a pankha on, they put comfortable clothing and this and that. But after taking all these precautions and protections, they still cook, they still do their duty despite the heat. Just like that, in the winters we don't stop. I mean, I don't know about people now, but Vedic culture says even if it's cold, how whatever the water temperature, you don't stop bathing. You have to bathe. That's your daily duty, bodily duty. You have to do it. Bear whatever protections you can do. Geyser on kar lo, you take a quick bath, you wipe yourself off, you have sweaters on, whatever it is. Take your protections and precautions, but you do your duty. That's what Krishna is going to talk about. He basically will talk about duties. He's going to talk about our identities, real identity. He's going to talk all about all of this, so that armed with all of that knowledge, at the end of the second chapter he'll be like, cut this illusion of yours, armed by this knowledge, and then get up and fight.
Yeah,
Get
yeah.
up and do your
I
duty.
want. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag. So
Out. Yeah.
let's come back to chapter one. Okay. So
Yeah.
chapter one, problem definition. From here
Yeah.
on, Krishna will tell how to solve bigger problems. Smaller relative problems will get solved automatically. That's the first reflection.
Mm.
What else
Yeah.
from chapter one? Let's maybe in next 10 minutes try to see what all did we gather from chapter one. What all do we want to reflect on?
Yeah. First thing I think is that no one is too busy to take guidance and higher help from higher authority or spiritual help, because that is what is going to solve our material responsibilities and
What do you mean?
problems. We usually cite, whenever someone says, read the Bhagavad Gita, or come for have some spiritual practices, it'll improve the quality of life, it'll really get you happy, whatever you want. People usually, all of us have done this, we still do, that we cite our responsibilities, that no, I have work to do, I have family to take care of, I have children to take care of, I have housework to do, I have this, I have that, I have all of these things. um and but if you think about it, backtrack a little bit and think about it, we'll see that all these responsibilities we're trying to fulfill because we want happiness for ourselves and our people, end of the day, right? But just that's the whole trick that we've fallen into, that we cite these responsibilities for not doing spiritual activities, but we want to do these responsibilities so that we can achieve happiness for us and our people, right? But the whole truth is that despite doing all these responsibilities and duties and everything, unless we have spirituality incorporated, we will not be able to completely do our duties, responsibilities to the fullest, and we will be unable to achieve happiness. So Arjun has a lot of responsibilities, duties. He's a king, he's a householder, he has a family, he has to take care of all of this. But he yet, despite all this, even in the most urgent of situations, right before a war, he paused, reflected, and sought to take spiritual help from Krishna.
Mhm.
Because he knew that is the approach, that is the route through which all these other problems that he's facing, that'll be
Okay.
solved.
So
Yeah.
problems are there, duties, office, family, relationship, social obligations, financial obligations. Where's the time for spirituality? Problems are there.
Yes.
And you're saying Arjun, in the most complex of problems, sought for a spiritual
Yeah.
solution. So
Correct.
we normally say material problems, spiritual
Spiritual
solutions.
solutions.
Albert
Yeah.
Einstein once said that you can't solve a problem with the same mindset that created it. right?
Yeah.
So you have to go above, you have to see the problem from a higher vantage point, and that's what
Mm.
spirituality and Bhagavad Gita gives you.
Definitely,
So
yes.
what do problems normally do to us? The problems really affect our mind, right? And that's why we say mind over matter, right?
Matter.
If
Yeah.
I have all the matter in the world, if I have all nice things with me, but if my mind is not in the right place, those things will mean no happiness to me. I may have the
Yeah.
best gadgets, I may have the best house, the best car, I may have achieved all my financial goals, but if I'm going through depression, some sort of insecurity, some sort of anxiety, then all these things won't matter to me. That's why we say mind over
Yeah.
matter. So the problems attack our mind, right? uh, if I lose a gadget, I lost, let's say I lose my AirPods, it's not going to be really the it's not going, the physical loss of AirPods, of that functionality, is not going to affect me as much as the feeling of losing something valuable, right?
Losing
So
something that you
mind
were
over
attached to. Yeah.
matter. Now
Yeah.
what Arjun is telling us, and what you just explained, is that above the mind there is spirit, material problems,
Yeah.
spiritual solutions. Just like mind overpowers matter, spirit overpowers the mind.
Mind and
And
matter.
yeah,
Yeah.
and matter, it's a hierarchy. So mind
Correct.
over matter and spirit over mind. So if you
Yeah.
address a problem of the mind with a solution of the
Yeah.
spirit, of the soul, if you
Yes.
nourish the soul, if you give contentment to the soul, then your mind automatically feels better,
Correct.
and the loss
Yes.
of matter doesn't matter as much.
Y-
It's not
Correct.
that difficult to understand, which this is basically why people are all the time asking for meditation. I want to meditate, I want to control my mind, right? So they're looking
Mhm.
for a solution which is above the mental platform, but that
Yeah.
meditation doesn't, sometimes it will have an aspect of spirit, sometimes it won't.
Yeah. I mean, otherwise, also logically, also it makes sense, right? People say that, hey, do you have a problem? Then you say yes or no. When if you either of the two, if you have a problem, the answer is no. Then you're like, okay, then why worry? But if your answer is yes, then you'll be like, okay, will worrying help? Are you worried? I'm like, I'm worried. But will worrying help your
Yeah.
problem? Then no. Then why worry? Right, like logically also your mind is worrying about these problems so much, is fixated and this and that. That's not going to help your problem anyway. In fact, sometimes it works detrimentally, because you're not being able to solve your problems. So logically, materially also, your mind has to be cool to get a good solution to your a clarified mind, a
Yeah.
clairvoyant mind basically will get you a better solution materially
Yeah.
also, generally also.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that way also, to just to calm your mind down, and that can happen, as you said, from a higher plane.
Yeah. Practically speaking, what does this mean? Like, uh, give the mind nourishment of the spirit, like spirit over mind. If your spirit is, if your soul is really well settled, uh, then the
Yeah.
mind will be under control. What does it really mean? Bhakti yoga gives you tools for the
Yeah.
spirit. It gives
Yeah.
you tools. So if you go to a psychologist, if you go to a psychiatrist, they'll give you tools for the mind, right?
Yeah.
They'll counsel you, they'll give you therapy, they'll make you do some exercises, maybe they'll give you some pills. These are all tools for the
Yeah.
mind. Similarly,
Correct.
Bhakti Yoga, which is the essence of the Bhagavad Gita, gives us tools for the spirit, right? What are these tools? Some of these
Yeah.
tools are, we chant together, we sing for the Lord together, we do some service, we
Yeah.
read books together. These are just very broad based examples. When we do this,
Yeah.
our spirit feels nourished. When the spirit feels nourished,
Mhm.
then the mind stays under control, not disturbed. And when the mind is under
Yeah.
control, then matter matters much less to us.
Yeah, it might sound quite abstract at
Yeah.
this stage, but
Yeah.
just to I understand, the body, to nourish the body, we need matter, right? Food is matter, made
Yeah.
out of matter.
Yeah.
To nourish the body, we have things which are made out of matter. Even when you have an ailment, bodily ailment, you have massages, you have
Mm,
pills
mm,
and stuff like
mm,
that, right? For the mind, soothing thoughts, soothing words,
mm.
the things that are related to the mind, on the thought level, because mind is made out of thoughts, the body is made out of these five elements. Just like that, the mind is made out, I mean, it's related to the thought level. So thoughts and emotions, etc., that's what nourishes and really soothes the mind. That's where the mind wala level works. But this is the subtlest form that we know. Beyond this, there is the soul. We don't have any examples to give.
Yeah.
Like I can take the example of food and pills and thoughts and emotions. What beyond that? What can where can I go beyond
Mm.
that? I don't know.
Yeah.
Now I'm flailing in the dark
Yeah.
because I have not been educated enough. We don't have much experience. But that's where Krishna really pushes things in. And more than but the Bhagavad Krishna and Bhagavad Gita also, he basically hints that there's something beyond. There is something beyond. This is there, that is there, bhakti is there, etc. But then the tenets of Bhakti Yoga, especially mentioned in the Bhagavatam, which we will be including when we speak about all of this Bhakti Yoga in the Bhagavad Gita, they basically tell us that what these tools are, what these things are, which are on the spiritual level, which can really nourish us
Yeah.
on the soul level.
Yeah. I like how you've led with an entire explanation to why understanding what matters to the soul, what is nourishing to the soul, is so abstract to understand, right?
Yeah,
Uh, it will be abstract initially because we don't have any knowledge, right? We have
correct,
to put in
correct.
a little bit of faith, experiment, try it out,
Yeah,
give it a chance, and then we'll see it works.
yeah,
It's worked with me, it's worked with you, it's working with so many people around the world who are practicing bhakti yoga. Another thought that
yeah,
comes to my mind is when my stomach is not good, right? I take a pill, right? I take a pill, and
mm,
I take it, my stomach becomes fine. Since childhood, I've never questioned what's inside the pill, what is the science, how is it
yeah,
working, which bacteria. Now I know there's a bacteria, but like as a
yeah,
child, maybe even 5 years back, I didn't know there was a bacteria. Some what is it? I
yeah,
never cared about it. I took it, it worked, and I kept doing it again and again and again, right? And I trusted those
yeah,
who were making this pill. Similarly, for Bhakti
correct.
Yoga, we take the tools for the soul, right? We'll not
Yeah,
understand what's in it, because if I don't understand what a bacteria is, how can somebody explain to me in this pill there is some bacteria, right? Similarly,
yeah,
how will somebody explain to me if I don't even have basic knowledge of the soul? How will somebody explain to me right now what's in this tool? But you build a little bit of faith, you
yeah.
experiment it. If it works, you repeat it.
Yeah, and you, as you said, we take it from the people who know, and we don't take it from
Yeah.
quacks or bogus doctors. We really actually trust them. We have some peer reviewed opinions and this and that. We take it from them, and even half knowledge doesn't work. If you know, someday you get to know that this pill has bacteria, you'll be like, "What? You're giving me bacteria? You're cheating me? I know you're a doctor. You want to keep me ill? No, that's why you're giving me bacteria." I'm like, listen, there are different
Mm.
types of bacteria. There is a whole ecosystem of bacteria in your gut anyway. We're trying to help. We won't listen. Half knowledge is also not
Yeah.
going to work.
Yeah.
So, as you said, we need to trust the process. And as we trust the process, we also educate
Yeah.
ourselves. So, both when they go together, the practice and the education, both will feed into each other and the faith will build. And this faith will be based on our experience, it'll be experiential faith building.
Yeah, it's almost magical, you know. Initially, it feels almost magical when you're not educated, but you're just trying it.
Correct.
Later on, when
Yeah.
education increases, then there are it's like epiphany. It's like, oh yeah, I
Correct.
understand this now because this happened to me. But
Yeah.
initially, it's almost magic. It's like,
Yeah, it's like automatic doors at the airport. A kid comes and like,
yeah,
"Oh my
yeah,
god,
yeah,
what?
yeah, yeah.
What? This is
Yeah,
magic." But as you grow up, you educate yourself about the sensors, this and that. The sense of magic decreases, but understanding of process increases. The appreciation is more
mm,
that wow,
yeah,
man, someone really designed
yeah.
this, and this is working.
Appreciation is the word. I think you
Yeah,
nailed it with that. We appreciate it more with education, and
yeah,
if we don't educate ourselves, we try it, we'll see it working,
yeah,
we won't appreciate it as much, so our faith will be
yeah.
limited. Uh, some
Correct.
example, one at least I can give one example. As a student, I was always stressful, right? As somebody who's
Yeah,
working, has been working in the corporate environment for a decade now, there is a lot of stress. But then I took up to chanting, right? It's one of the processes of bhakti yoga. I took up to japa, and the stress really started to reduce. Now, if that's
yeah.
all I tell you, and that's all that happened to me initially, it was magic. I
Yeah.
was saying a few words, a mantra
That you just
repeatedly.
mumbled some words over and over again, and some
Yeah.
stress
In
released.
fact, I
Yeah,
remember, this is crazy, but when I was pursuing my MBA, I would tell my neighbor, like my friend who lived in the next room, who stayed in the next room, I would tell him that, our finals are here. I'm not feeling stressed. This is not good. How will I study? I'm not motivated. It's because stress was my motivation throughout as a
Yeah.
student. And I was like, I'm not motivated. And I couldn't understand. It's only many years later I understood, oh, I was chanting. So hence it was naturally stress wasn't happening. And then
Yeah.
eventually, further ahead, I understood how it's linked. Like, what is the science behind it? How it works. So that's the beauty. Material
Yeah.
problems, spiritual solutions,
Spiritual solution.
scientific spiritual solutions.
Yeah. It's spiritual science, actually. And it's something that we missed out on in our education system, in the modern education system. We're just trying to catch up. That's all. It's nothing new. It's nothing, it's not concocted. It's not conjured up of out of thin air. Nothing. It's very old. We lost it. We're just trying to bring it back. We're just trying to catch up on it, because this is what was supposed to complete my education. Couldn't complete my education. Now someone's giving me the opportunity to do it, and I'm glad to take up the
Yeah,
opportunity.
yeah. 50 years back, we had no education about the mind.
Yeah.
Now we don't have any education about the soul. So we're just trying to bring it
Correct.
back.
Yes, definitely.
Okay,
People used to call it
very nice
pseudoscience, even the mind.
discussion. So, come again.
They used to call the science, like psychology and all of that, they used to call it pseudoscience. The scientists themselves used to call it pseudoscience,
Oh, is it?
medical.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So chapter one ends here. Chapter two
Yeah.
begins in the next episode. It's not taken us that long, only maybe like 15 episodes. Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for the discussion. See you next
Thank you,
time.
bro.
Hare
Thank you so much.
Krishna. I'm losing
Thank you.
connection.
Hare
Can't hear
Krishna.
you clearly, but this means it's a good time to say bye. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Hare Krishna.
Jaya Gaura Hare